So I'm very happy that you're here on this symposium linked to the PhD defense of Xinran Wang yesterday about the role of different actors in addressing societal challenges. And I'm very thrilled that we have such a nice list of speakers today who all work on this topic. Yeah, we want to understand better understand. So, how can different actors contribute to climate change? What do people perceive the role of different actors is? And how can we spur and accelerate societal climate actions where everyone takes their responsibility and uses their capacity to do so? Where should I point? Okay. just use it. So this is the program. Introduction by me. Sorry. And we have 2 sessions with different speakers. Maddie and I will also take over the presentation that Xinran developed, and we hope that we remember all the details as well as she did yesterday. And we had, like I said, we have a very nice lineup of speakers. Lorraine Whitmarsh from Bath University. I don't think you need any introduction. Everyone knows you. Maddie, also supervising Xinran and doing very nice research in this area. Jeffrey Lees, where is Jeffrey? You're on the front row as well. From our university now as well, the economics department. Martijn van Zomeren, social psychologist. Willem Bolderdijk. Where is Willem? Not here, but maybe. Also much into the social environmental research, and Thijs Bouman, our colleague from the environmental psychology department. You will hear more about what they are into and how this work is linked nicely to what Xinran has been doing. In a minute. Before I start with Xinran's presentation, and Maddie joins me, so we hope that collaborative effort will do the best in this case. We will have a lunch after this session. The lunch will be in La Place, it's just on the other side of the hallway. And you need a token, and Brian is there, standing in front of the door, handing you the token so that you can grab your lunch there. Yeah? Good.
Okay. No. Well, I am honoured to be standing in for Xinran and having a chance to talk about her amazing research that she did for her thesis. So, a bit of background. I was working with Linda and in the environmental psychology group back in 2021, and Linda had some funding available. We were looking for a postdoc, and we got this amazing application from Xinran. Oh, this is very interesting. And when we had the interview, we were like, oh yes, this is going to be a great person to work with. And so we had these ideas around how do we motivate societal change? How do we think about the roles of different actors? What kind of social psychological things can we look at there? But we really didn't have very solid ideas at that point. So a lot of this is coming from Xinran's ideas of what to look at.
I guess people point at me that you need to use the mic.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Speak a bit louder. And so, the overall thesis ended up focusing on perceptions of the role of different societal actors in addressing climate change. But there was a wide range of different research methods and approaches included in there. And so this is kind of the overview of the general idea. Tackling climate change is going to require collective action from various societal actors. So it's not just the case that consumers need to shift what they're purchasing, or citizens need to protest and advocate for political change. There's going to need to be shifts across many different sectors. And that's a highly complex problem, but also one that we can sort of break down into different elements to look at. Please don't think about it. Why do we need to consider the perceptions of the roles of different actors? We have evidence from some of our colleagues in the department as well, that most people do care about the environment and support climate action and policy. So I think there was a recent study that looked at 160 countries and it found, 89% of people were really keen on climate action. So there's a huge amount of support out there. And yet societal action is lacking behind. We're not seeing the responses that you might expect from that level of support. And potentially that is due to things like uncertainty and debate about who should and can act, and who is also already acting and intending to act. So a lot of what we are thinking is happening, it could be to do with our assumptions about what other people are doing. And you can think about within a system that would slow down the process of social change. If you are underestimating, if you're a business and you're underestimating how much your consumers are interested in sustainable products, then you may not produce the sustainable products, which will then lead to this sort of inertia in that system change. And so, a key point that we're interested in here is that these actions are interdependent. So if we are wanting to shift a system, we need to think about how one actor's actions are going to impact another actor. And particularly if one actor is not acting urgently enough, then that can also impact the actions of other actors. So these are not isolated groups or individuals. Right, so the first question was, to what extent are different actors perceived to be responsible and capable of taking climate action, and to what extent are they seen as motivated, currently taking action, or intending to act? So this is about perceptions. So we're not measuring whether actors are actually taking action in any form, it's more about perceptions that people are holding of other actors. And so Xinran's first study focused on social media discourses. And so she collected a whole bunch of data from Twitter around the time of COP26. So the hashtags that she was looking at for the study included hashtag climate action and hashtag COP26. And so she did this amazing data analysis. So she screened all the tweets and used topic modeling to pull out these kind of key topics that were being talked about at COP26. Xinran's analysis of the tweets that were happening around that time. And so just to summarize this figure, this is a topic modeling of a whole bunch of tweets that Xinran pulled together, and the analysis kind of pulls out related topics using large language modeling. And so the interesting thing here is we've also been able to arrange them on different dimensions. So down the bottom there, we've got on the left-hand side, we've got tweets that were referring to calling out world leaders, Global Day of Action, and so those were kind of collectively about bottom-up social activism. Then on the right-hand side there, we've got sector-based solutions. So this was tweets focusing more on things like nature-based solutions, sustainable finance, climate communication. Then at the top right, we've got tweets focusing on the energy transition and the Paris Agreement. And then we have sort of an isolated one that was talking about climate inaction. And so,
I think that the interesting thing is that you see that many actors are being called on or referred to, right? Also already indicating that people acknowledge that many actors should act. And for me, one intriguing finding was also that Xinran identified the barriers and enablers of climate action, and the key barriers were institutional factors and key enablers was large public support, which was very much in line with the quantitative analysis done in the IPCC report, where the literature was being reviewed. So even though this was a very selective sample, right, because not everyone was tweeting, but the results were very similar with what you see in the literature.
Yeah, nice. So yes, I forgot to mention that the study involved not just this analysis, but also a qualitative analysis when we looked at the comparison to the frameworks that were already out there. Xinran's second study was a survey-based study, and this one was looking at perceptions of a whole range of different actors, so government, financial sector, businesses, NGOs, media, and Dutch residents. And for each of those actors, Xinran asked people, do you think this actor is responsible for causing climate change, responsible for limiting it, capable of taking action, that the actions will help limit climate change, that they are motivated and currently taking action. So whole range there, ranging from causal and remedial responsibility to outcome efficacy, and what Xinran was interested in was looking at the differences across actors and the extent to which people see these actors as capable and willing of taking action. And so you can see here in the figure that there are all these actors are all plotted in the different colours. There's some similarities, so especially around responsibility for limiting action and capability of taking action. You can see that those are all kind of towards the higher end of the scale there. But we do see some separation around whether they're motivated currently and willing to take action. And in particular, you see groups like the financial sector and businesses are rated as quite low in those perceptions. This study was also...
You also see that people think that everyone is responsible and capable. I think that's an important finding, that they not shift the responsibility to others.
Yes, that's actually a good point. And the interesting thing about this study is that we also collected representatives from different groups. So it wasn't just a resident sample, it also had people who were in government or in business. So we could look at these perceptions across different actor groups, which was a real novel development that Xinran worked on. Okay. So again, governments and businesses are seen as most responsible and capable. But again, not actually currently taking action. So you see that perception gap there quite clearly. Okay, so we can now talk a bit more about the differences across groups. And so when we looked at the professionals within governments and businesses, we found some really interesting differences. So what we can see here is the ratings of perceptions of business representatives' perceptions in their own role. That's that circle with the hole, the empty circle. And then perceptions of other actors. Is that right?
Yeah, so you see how the different groups perceive the role of businesses in this case, so how government representative and business representative and citizens perceive the role of businesses. Quite similar, right? High responsibility, not acting. But we also asked about how they perceive their own role as an individual. That's the one with the hole. And you see that it's a big difference between how responsible individual business representatives see themselves and how capable they see themselves in comparison to their group. And this gap was much narrower for the residents. To put it differently, individual residents feel more responsible and capable than individual businesses. And one of the interesting things is when we submitted this manuscript, was also a reviewer said, and of course these business representatives don't feel responsible or capable because it might not be their role, it's only the sustainability officer. And that was exactly the point that we wanted to make. It is not only the responsibility or the task of the sustainability officer, right? Everyone can act. And this clearly sees that people within businesses seem not to recognize their responsibility and capacity. So we need to do more to empower them to act and also take up that role.
And so in the survey we really explicitly made it clear that they were answering the survey as in their role. So in this figure we also see again the different roles here. So we've got government representative, business representatives and Dutch residents. And you can see a separation there. So the purple circles, those are the residents, and government and business are green and orange, and they're just separating out there. So they're lower on responsibility, capability, and particularly currently taking action as well.
That's interesting, right? Because people think businesses and governments are most responsible and capable as a group, But as an individual people within a business organization, within a government state, I'm less responsible than a citizen. Yes.
Yeah, so just to clarify, these are all perceptions of the self as and their role.
Yeah, 4 minutes.
That's great. Right, moving on. This study also looked at. We also ran some regressions, looking at how these perceptions predicted action. And so, just one of the findings here was that there were differences in what variables were predicting action across residents, businesses, and governments. And so, particularly perceived efficacy more strongly predicted professionals' actions than residents. And we can also relate that to kind of a general finding that business professionals were rather low on efficacy. In contrast, motivation was a big predictor of residents' action. Okay, so how do these perceptions that we have of other groups or other actors influence our own actions? So Xinran's next study looked into this, and what she found was, when she related to the perceptions to one's own action, was that the more people perceived governments and businesses as taking climate action, the more they took their individual action. So there was a relationship there where if you see governments acting, you also take action yourself. And so, do you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, that was for both governments. So if you see other actors, the responsible actors particularly acting, you're also more likely to act yourself, which is also relevant because oftentimes it's being assumed that people are free riding. If someone else is doing, I don't need to do anything. Well, these results suggest this is not very likely.
Yeah, and one of the mechanisms that Xinran looked into was potentially that seeing other actors act increases your sense that actually achieving the goal is possible and at a collective level, which then makes you feel more confident yourself to act. So Xinran has pulled out this idea of a spiral of action, where the success of climate action depends on actors working together and empowering both powerful societal actors and individuals to work towards climate goals. Another finding was that it might be crucial to start thinking about how to enhance professionals' perceived efficacy in their roles, and I think there are some organisations out there that are trying to do this. I think the name of Project Drawdown or something. There's some activist organisations saying, your job is a climate job, and talking about two different sectors. Another finding is that empowering individuals in private and professional contexts around the different climate actions they can take could help to drive systemic change. Well done.